the Chicago Bears have fired another coach as things seem to be clearly under control at Halas Hall. Matt Eberflus comments today. We will dive into that. Montez Sweat contract rumors are heating up. Are the Bears going to be able to get a contract extension done or not? We'll dive into that as well as Jaylon Johnson. Was he lowballed by Ryan Poles during contract negotiations? Busy show coming up here on Chicago Bears Now. We're going to dive into it right this second. We are presented by Roan here on today's show. If you're looking to upgrade your wardrobe, get 20% off with Roan at roan.com/chatsports. That is roan.com/chatsports. 20% off to get some nice improved clothing. All right, David Walker has been fired as the Bears have let loose their running backs coach over, quote, workplace behavior. That is the quote, Courtney, or the phrase Courtney Cronin used of ESPN. David Walker was fired on Tuesday over his behavior in the workplace. Source confirmed to ESPN. The Bears Human Resources Department was involved in the decision, which the team has not yet announced. A source told ESPN that Walker had previously been reprimanded by Bears HR for his workplace behavior and that a second such instance led to his firing. I mean, can this season get any more bizarre? Like, seriously, can it get any weirder? Like, there's so many examples, which we'll dive into, of things just not being under control at Halas Hall. I mean, that is the bottom line. I mean, think of these are just some of the things, by the way, that have taken place just this season. Alan Williams' resignation, which he definitely would have been fired for, but they let him resign because Matt Eberflus has such respect for him over something we still don't really know about. The handling of Chase Claypool after his comments saying coaching has not put him in great position. Matt Eberflus completely fumbled that. They, of course, traded him. Justin Fields questioned coaching. Then he, after practice, came back and took back those comments. Jaylon Johnson's contract dispute, which led to a trade request. He did not get traded. And now you've got David Walker's firing. And this is just a few examples. There's a lot more you could point to, such as coming out flat in week 1 against Green Bay and laying an egg. And obviously just being a bad football team overall when expectations were at least supposed to be better than 2-6. And then you got Matt Eberflus going up to the podium today and saying, the culture's great here. What are you basing that off of? Like, I'm not going to expect him to go up there and be like, yeah, I mean, this is a mess, this is a disaster, but that kind of is what it is, right? And look, kudos to him, I guess, for being like, look, he basically said David Walker was not reaching expectations, minimum standards, so we cut him loose with Ryan Poles and Kevin Warren's approval. Like, sure, if a guy's not reaching expectations, he needs to go, but it's just a bad look, man. I'm not saying Flus is responsible for what every adult player or coach in the building does, but he's the head coach, man. Like, at some point, he has to take ownership of something, and to me, that's why he's going to have to go. Like, beyond just being 5-20 and having horrible results on the field, which, by the way, he said today, yeah, we're 2-2 in our last 4, almost won one of those games we lost. We're really turning in the right direction. Come on, man. You haven't won 2 games in a row yet as a head coach of this football team. It's just embarrassing at this point how bad this team has been. If you think Matt Eberflus needs to be fired, hit the like button. Like this video. I don't see how you could justify keeping him after this year. We just saw Josh McDaniels get fired midseason. He's 3-5 this year. And they haven't had quite the off-field drama the Bears have had. So if you don't think it can be done, it absolutely can. And quite frankly, it probably should. So hit that like button if you want him fired. Omar Young will take over as the running backs coach, by the way. He's been working with the wide receivers along with Tyke Tolbert. So he's going to slide into that role, and that is where things sit on the coaching staff. Coming up in just a few moments, we're going to dive into the latest on Montez Sweat and Jaylon Johnson, where things sit for both of those players as Sweat is completing his physical today at Halas Hall. But first, let's talk about today's sponsor, Roan. Guys, upgrade your wardrobe with the Commuter Collection from Roan right now because they offer the most comfortable, breathable, and flexible set of products known to man, and here is why. They're going to get you ready for any occasion, whether you're going to happy hour, whether you're going to the bar, a business meeting. They got casual wear, they got business attire, and it's all very comfortable, very breathable. Their 4-way stretch fabric is going to keep you comfortable if you are on the move, especially. Hey, go play a round of golf in their Roan golf polos as well. They have wrinkle-free technology, and these are machine-washable clothes. Throw them in the washing machine, air dry them. Want to use the iron, you can. You are good to go. Don't waste money at dry cleaners anymore. Roan has you covered. You don't have to take these clothing items to the dry cleaners. Get 20% off with code ChatSports at roan.com/chatsports. That's roan.com/chatsports. Code ChatSports, RHONE.com/chatsports. Get 20% off right now. Link and promo code in the comments and description of this video. It's Roan. Appreciate them for sponsoring today. Okay, let's talk about Montez Sweat, the edge rusher. He's listed as a linebacker because 3-4 scheme in Washington. He's played 3-4-4-3 in his career. He's an edge. We all know it. The Bears did not lay the groundwork, according to a report, for a Sweat extension while trading for him, which it's like, okay, that doesn't always happen, but he is an expiring contract. You don't love that. You also don't love that he reportedly preferred to go to Atlanta. We'll dive into that as well. And the fallback option for the Bears, which to me this would be a failure if you can't get an extension done. But you do have the franchise tag at your disposal, which is going to come in at around $20.4 million for defensive ends this coming off season. A lot of quotes to dive into here, so stick with us. Jeremy Fowler of ESPN on Montez Sweat says, Sweat gives Chicago a marquee player of the game's most important positions for years to come, assuming it extends him. However, Chicago not laying the groundwork for an extension now seems short-sighted, though it can use the franchise tag next season. Atlanta had its eyes set on Sweat, but Washington went with Chicago's offer. And my understanding is Atlanta was willing to extend Sweat's contract as part of the deal, and that Sweat wanted to go to Atlanta where he has family. Now, look, I'm not going to hit the panic button. You've got 2.5 months left this season. You got a couple of months before free agency, and you've got the franchise tag. But I will say this. Ryan Poles' most critical days as this team's general manager are coming quickly. You got to figure out a Montez Sweat extension, or if you're going to have to use the tag, which to me would be a failure. You got to hopefully repair this relationship with Jaylon Johnson. We're going to talk about him because he's a player you should want to keep long term. And you got to figure out quarterback too. Like, it's not just the quarterback. Like, there's a lot of stuff that Ryan Poles is going to have to figure out. And that isn't even mentioning the likelihood of having to hire a new coach. I mean, let's be real. We just talked about the disaster that is Halas Hall this season. Barring a significant turnaround, Matt Eberflus cannot be retained. So lots on Ryan Poles' plate moving forward as this team's GM. Now, Dan Graziano of ESPN did chime in and say this. He said, nothing official on the schedule at this point, but I am told the Bears will at least make an effort to try to sign Sweat to a long-term deal before the end of the season. So we'll see. We'll see how strong the effort is. I mean, Ryan Poles has not had a great track record of getting extension done. Only Cole Kmet has gotten one. Couldn't do it with Roquan Smith, traded him. Couldn't do it with Jaylon Johnson. He requested a trade. They haven't traded him, but that relationship seems to be fractured. So I got to see it at this point. I got to see it. Do you trust Ryan Poles as the Bears GM? Type T for trust or type D for don't. Let me know down in the comments section. Hit the subscribe button here on Chicago Bears Now. We're trying to get to 79,000 subscribers here on the channel. Daily Bears content, news, rumors. We went live for the trade deadline. We'll be live again tomorrow like we are every Thursday at 4 o'clock Central Time. So 863 away from 79K. Then the road to 80,000 is here. We appreciate all your love and support. And if you're a new subscriber, turn on that notification bell as well so you know exactly when we publish new content. Okay, Jaylon Johnson. Was he lowballed by Ryan Poles and the Chicago Bears? Jeremy Fowler again saying that Johnson applied pressure when contracts came in lower than what he thought it would. The whole Johnson situation was frenzied, he says, since the Bears did not plan to trade him a few weeks ago. But once they got deep into negotiations, it became clear the Bears would not pay him what he wanted, most likely fringe top 10 corner money. So let's just look at that. We flashed this graphic a lot when it comes to the highest paid corners, and this is per year. So, you know, there's more factors potentially, guaranteed money, years on a contract, etc. But the 10th highest paid corner is Carlton Davis at $14.83 million. I'm going to take him out of the fringe top 10 discussion that Fowler's talking about because I'm guessing he wanted more like J.C. Jackson and above. But fringe top 10, I'm not even flirting with top 6 there with Trayvon Diggs. I think Johnson wanted between $16 and $19 million. and Ryan Poles probably offered him between 13 and 15. And look, 3 for 45 is a decent offer. I initially had a projection of 3 for 48, which is $16 million per year. But I think that's probably the floor. Like, Jaylon Johnson in free agency is probably going to flirt with 17, 18, maybe even up to $20 million if he hits the open market. So, and he's clearly not going to take a discount. He's worthy of being a top 10 highest paid corner in this league. I would give him $18 million per year. If your number is 15, if you're Ryan Poles, get it up to 18 and let's call it a day, man. You got over $100 million. You have a number one corner in your locker room. Why mess around? Why mess around? I get it. You got numbers that you and your team come up with, but at some point, solid, good, homegrown talent needs to be retained, and Jaylon Johnson is certainly an example of that. Jeremy Fowler again here saying, according to several teams, Chicago wanted at least a day 2 draft pick in terms of a Johnson trade compensation. Johnson will do well in free agency, like I mentioned, so this isn't considered a loss in his camp. This Bears regime didn't draft him and has little loyalty to him. I just don't understand that mindset. Oh, we didn't draft him. We don't have the loyalty. I don't know if Fowler is throwing his opinion in there at the end or if that's what he's hearing, but if that's true, it's like, dude, ditch the ego, man. Who cares if you drafted him or not? You're in charge now. Like, when you have something good, keep it. Like, it's that simple. Are you going to not sign him but then pay L'Jarius Sneed in free agency, who I really like as well? Yeah, I love L'Jarius Sneed, but why not just keep the guy you have? You know what he is. Like, he's been a really good player, a warrior for you, and is still improving, and he's 24 years old. I keep bringing up that point. The guy's young. Like, some rookies these days come into the league at 24. He's 24, and he's played 4 years in the NFL. Like, I don't understand the mindset of, well, we didn't draft him. We're not going to overpay. Again, you don't just give the dude what he wants. I'm not saying make him the highest paid corner, but 17, 18 million, if he's asking for 21, okay, it's a different discussion. I don't get the feeling that he is. It's frustrating, man. It's frustrating, and that's why I said Ryan Poles has important days ahead as this team's general manager. Fill in the blank. I would pay Jaylon Johnson blank million per year. I'd go up to 18 million. Diggs at 19 and a half. I wouldn't give him that. Diggs creates too many takeaways compared to Johnson, but I'd slide him right behind there, even at 18 and a quarter. Make him the 7th highest paid corner in the NFL. Sure, is he the 7th best corner in the league? Maybe, maybe not. This year, I would make the strong argument he's been top 5, top 7, if not higher. But I think he's top 10, man, and he deserves to be in there. And again, he's still ascending. The chart is heading up, and that's a guy you want to keep, man. That's a guy you want to keep. All right, guys, we're going to sign off here on Chicago Bears Now. We'll probably have another video later. Usually our first video of the day comes earlier, but it's been a busy day here at Chat Sports. Our Raiders channel is in the middle of a 24-hour stream. It's been hectic, so we've had to move some personnel around here at Chat Sports today. But hopefully we're back later with more content for you. Subscribe, hit the notification bell so you do know if we publish another video.